Tommy Oliver was once the Green Ranger, but after his ranger friends kept calling him names, he snapped and had enough, becoming Lord Drakkon. Or at least that's what I think. I don't actually follow Power Rangers at all, to be honest. Drakkon is a very interesting rushdown character. While I wouldn't say this character is as beginner friendly as a character like Jason or Jen, he isn't too hard to pick up either. He has a pretty straightforward game plan, however he still has a lot of interesting tools in his arsenal. Drakkon is quite unique when it comes to being a rushdown character, as he doesn't tend to charge into battle, but rather use his teleport and projectiles to get in. Drakkon is a character with strong assist synergy, strong pressure, and many other powerful tools. This guide will go into the basics and how to apply them, while also giving more intermediate to advanced strategies for you to work towards. Let's get into it. As stated, Drakkon's big move is his teleport, but he has a few other strong moves. A powerful anti-air, a Belmont-sized low, slow projectiles, a charge going through projectiles. Drakkon's moveset has many tools you should think about when using him. Drakkon is also no slouch when it comes to power, dealing great damage to his opponents, and if they don't kill, he has the ability to reset as well. Before we talk about his moves, take a look at these pictures. These should explain the notation battle for the grid users so you can keep track of what moves I'm talking about. Let's get into it. "5L" is Drakkon's fastest standing normal. It leads into a target combo, but it's pretty useless. Despite being his fastest option, you won't see it much because he has a better approach option and combo starter we will get into later. However, like all other 5Ls, it is useful in pulling off resets, which is very useful for Drakkon. 5M is a decent damaging move that is mostly used in combos. This also leads into a target combo, and it's also useless. You could chain it multiple times in a combo, and it doesn't add too much to the juggle limit. Its range is a bit short, but you tend to only use this in combos, especially in corners, so this doesn't really hurt Drakkon at all. You can also Kara throw with it, which is pretty useful. 5H is pretty interesting. It has 2 hits, the first one ignoring the juggle limit, so most people cancel it before going into the second hit in combos. This also means it never air resets. The second hit causes a ground bounce on airborne opponents, which is useful for combos. It also has quite good range. This also leads into Drakkon's most useful target combo. You can use it to cancel out the first hit of 5H and not get the second hit. It also causes hard knockdown, which can be followed up with an OTG like 6SM or JS. Because the first hit ignores the juggle limit, it's pretty useful in combos and one of the many reasons Drakkon combos can seem pretty long. You can cancel out before the second hit with moves like 6SH, 2H, or as mentioned previously, a second 5H. 2L is 1 frame slower than 5L, but is far more spammable while doing the same amount of damage. It is no longer a low, however, getting rid of most of its usefulness, but it's still a pretty quick and spammable poke. On the other hand, 2M could be considered Drakkon's best move. Coming out frame 7, this is Drakkon's only low aside from 6SM. This tends to be Drakkon's combo starter and is a very strong approach option. Its range is also impeccable, like look at this should not have hit. This makes it an even stronger poke and definitely something you should use on an opponent who thinks he's far enough away. And it also does really good damage. 2H is primarily used as Drakkon's launcher rather than anti-air due to him having a better anti-air. This launcher leads it to a few strong options out of it and has good utility in his combos. But as stated earlier, you don't tend to use this as an anti-air due to 4S being a thing. I'm gonna merge JL and JM since both of them are the same thing. Useless. Okay, they technically have a use. Both can be okay air-to-airs, JL being quicker and JM having better reach, actually having the longest horizontal reach out of his aerials. If after a launcher you want to go for an aerial combo, these are your best tools as well. But for the most part, you really don't see these. Drakkon is a pretty ground-based character. Drakkon's best aerial has to be his JH. I'll be going more into its uses later in the video, but to give a brief rundown, it's his best landing aerial and it does really good damage. You tend to mostly use this after a 6SS teleport. It causes a ground bounce on aerial opponents, but this isn't too useful since you tend to once you use the 5H ground bounce in combos. Its landing hitbox is also a bit finicky and misses sometimes, so you should be careful with that. 5S has Drakkon stab the floor and create two slow moving projectiles that travel across the ground. While a projectile on the ground tends to be easily jumped over, the second one travels far slower, so it keeps the opponent on their toes. The dagger also has a hitbox. You can use this in combos after a launcher and it sends them pretty high. The slow projectiles can also help you put neutral in your hands, especially coupled with teleports and assists. 6S is the Drakkon dash. This dash/teleport can go through opponents and projectiles, but it is not invincible and can be hit by most things, including grabs. Drakkon has 4 follow-ups at his disposal. Light cancels out of his teleport and stops it early, letting him cancel into a low or throw if they expected something else. This could be a pretty strong pressure tool. This is also one of its primary tools for mix-ups, especially in the corners, since it looks like you might teleport behind the opponent. Now, to my knowledge, you cannot teleport behind the opponent with 6SL. But if your opponent doesn't know that, then good for you. And besides, if you want to go behind them, just dash underneath. Medium is a slide that OTGs, making it a strong combo tool and extender. You can do this twice in a combo, with the third one flipping them out. Even though it's a quick low, you won't see it thrown out in neutral much due to it not connecting it to anything if hit raw. Heavy gives a slash looking similar to his heavy target combo ender. Unlike that move, however, it does more damage and launches them up if they are midair. Note that this does not use a launcher, so you can still use 2H or 4S. This move really takes advantage of its projectile invincibility, making it quite useful if you catch your opponent off guard. Pressing the special button teleports Drakkon up, giving him free reign to do as he pleases on the way down. This is his other primary tool for mixing up his opponents, which we'll go over in more detail later. 4S is arguably one of Grid's best anti-airs. It comes out insanely quickly with amazing range. It isn't as great to combo off of compared to 2H, but it's still possible. Always use this on a jumping opponent. It's definitely his strongest defensive tool. Baiting out a jumping opponent with this is legendary. Just patiently wait for your opponent's jump and you got him. JS might look intimidating, but it's not very useful aside from its OTG quality for combos. It has a little horizontal range, and for some reason, it's not an overhead. Not even sure why it isn't, but it isn't. It's really not something you should throw out in neutral. However, it is pretty quick with an okay hitbox, so don't write it off completely. Drakkon's forward throw does decent damage, and can be followed up with a 6SM, leading into a sizable combo. This makes it a strong tool in his arsenal, specifically for mix-ups and resets, especially after a 5SL. Back throw does more damage than forward throw, but you can't get anything after it, making it pretty useless. Seriously, you can't even get anything off of it if you tag out. It's worthless, alright? Drakkon Swap Strike is alright. It's as useful as most other Swap Strikes. You can cancel into it in most places in your combo. You can also do it after EX, but the timing is pretty strict. Looking very similar to Genocide Cutter, Drakkon's EX starts with 2 kicks leading into a wall bounce. It does good damage, and it's best to use in the corner to push them behind you for a super. If blocked, you stop after the second kick. This also has astounding vertical range, so if you want to call out a jump in, you can go for it. You can also combo into a 6SM after it. Drakkon's super isn't really anything special, just a super that does good damage, right? It's a combo ender. There's one thing of note, and that is, whatever you do, never use this in the corner. Why? Because this happens. It's best to use this after the EX wall bounce. Assists are very important in Grid. being able to change the tide of battle or give you an advantage with the right use. Drakkon's assist is his 4S and it's really good. It's invincible for most of its startup and can be good to start a combo when you're playing defensively. Hell, if you're doing something slightly unsafe and you want to keep the opponent from punishing you, just throw this out. And hey, if your character lacks a good anti-air, just throw this out instead. And because it launches them up, it can be used to extend your combo as well. You can also use this for unblockables, but we'll talk about that later. Drakkon gets a lot of power from having good assists. Drakkon has some decent mix-ups, but he benefits a lot from lockdown assists that can take his mix from being okay to being extremely powerful. Assists like Jen, Cat, Ryu, Sentry, Kimberly, etc. can make his pressure and mix a force to be reckoned with. Drakkon's assist should be used defensively, to punish an aggressive opponent due to the amount of invincibility frames on it. It can also be used mid-combo to extend that combo, and it's also a pretty good anti-air. When using assists with Drakkon, you should use them to give him more pressure on his mix-ups to help skip neutral. Assists that lock the opponent down are more beneficial to use on round starts, resets, and incomings. Use these to help Drakkon get in with his teleport. Drakkon's strategy is pretty straightforward. He's got a move to approach with, a move to defend with, and a strong plan to work towards on incomings and whatnot. His pressure is among the best if paired with the right assists. He also builds a decent amount of meter, which is quite useful. Drakkon works well as a point, so before we talk about his plan overall, let's talk about his round starts. Drakkon has a few good round starts to work with. We will go over 2 of them in this video. 6SH is quick, goes through projectiles, and has very good range. If an opponent decides to backdash and throw something out, they're gonna eat it, and if they throw out an assist, you get a happy birthday. You can do this on reaction, but if you go for it on a read and they block, you can throw out an assist to be safe. Another round start is to backdash 5S, use an assist with lockdown like Jen or Ryu, and teleport into JH, forcing them to block the projectiles and guess on the 50-50 from the JH. Both starts are very strong, so think about which one you should use based on the opponent's characters and playstyle. Aside from his teleport, Drakkon's best approach option is easily his 2M. It's got an impressively long range and decent damage to boot. You could try to 5H if an opponent whiffs, but it has a lot of startups, so you should probably just 2M. You can always get a great combo off of 2M anyways. When approaching with the teleport, you have a lot of options since you can go with a low, throw, or overhead, as well as possibly crossing them up. Drakkon's 4S is a powerful defensive tool, being very quick and an anti-air. Sitting patiently and trying to bait out a jump can lead to a powerful string. Drakkon's 5S can be decent as well, being slow and being good at forcing the opponent to block, giving you some control of the neutral. You can also use your lockdown assist to keep your opponent from pushing you. Drakkon's most dangerous asset, however, is his mix-ups with assists. It's a simple procedure, 6S while calling an assist, preferably lockdown. Now there are a few things you can do out of it. You can do 6SS and go for JH. This can create a 50-50 on whether you show up in front or behind the opponent. You can do 6SL and 2M, which means you have a low-high mix-up. If you do 6SL, you can also go for a grab. Hell, with the right assist, you could try to bait a jump at 4S. This is a tremendously dangerous situation to put your opponent in, since you have a multitude of options that they have to predict. You can do this on incoming, round start, after a reset, even in neutral if you get the chance. You should always think about this if you have an assist at the ready. One other thing Drakkon has that you might not actually know is his quick overhead. While not as good as, say, Gia's overhead, tagging out during Drakkon's assist while in the air and pressing any button will give you a quick overhead. You can use this to set up an unblockable after a reset, so keep this in mind if you need it. Before getting into his combos, we should lay the groundwork for where to start. Drakkon follows the Magic series when it comes to connecting moves like L, M, and H. 2M will usually be your combo starter, and you can combo into 5H. For combos, you will usually want to cancel before the second hit of 5H to keep your JoJo limit low. The most useful things you can do this with is another 5H, 6SH, and 2H. Off a JH, you can convert into 2M and set up your combo from there. Things like EX, Super, or 5HH that could be OTG'd can be followed up with 6SM or JS. While in juggle, you can use 5M multiple times when in the corner. Launcher can be followed up with 5S or 6SH. 5S is easier to convert from afterwards, but 6SH does more damage. Always go for forward grab, since you cannot combo anything out of a back grab regardless of whether you tag out or not. Don't super in the corner, I swear to always EX, and wait for the wall mount before super in this situation. Drakkon's combos tend to push opponents into the corner with his 6SM, which is good. Because of this, his combos tend to be the same whether in the corner or not, aside from converting off of 6SM. You will also notice Drakkon's moves really do not add too much to the juggle limit. That's why you might see some lengthy combos. With that out of the way, let's check out some combos.
Been warned.
Victory is fun.
Die! Been warned.
Victory is fun.
Been warned.
Victory is fun.
Die! Been warned.
Victory is fun.
Die! Die! Been warned.
Victory is fun.
Die! 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 Been warned.
Victory is fun.
Out of my way. Die! been warned.
Victory is fun.
Feel free to experiment on how to implement your assists into your combo. You can't normally touch of death with Drakkon, but if you have enough meter, you can do this.
You have been warned. Die! Die!
Victory is fun.
You have been warned. Die! Die! Have been warned. Forfeit time.
Drakkon's best combos tend to build around 2 bars, so you should keep that in mind. You usually won't have to worry about that though, due to being a reset heavy character. Now, normally I would show you my gameplay for this section, but I'm not exactly a Drakkon player, and I want to demonstrate optimal Drakkon gameplay, and I just don't think I'm qualified enough to do that. Fortunately, Zago was willing to give me some gameplay to show off in this video. He's one of the best players in the world, so it should be no understatement when I say he knows what he is doing. Without further ado, here is some Drakkon gameplay. Here, Zago starts with a 6sh round start, followed up by a gen assist. He then pushes the opponent into the corner, while also incorporating his assist into his combo. After a bit, Zago resets the opponent with a 6SL low, which catches them, allowing him to finish off the first character. He then sets up an incoming, but as soon as he sees the Goldar jump, he goes for the anti-air and converts off of it. Unfortunately, he does drop the combo and tries to play the neutral, but despite being hit, Zago still wins the interaction thanks to his gen assist and takes out another character. Noticing his opponent's habit of jumping, Zago hits them with another anti-air and once more drains the opponent's life away with a combo. However, he drops his combo and gets hit by the most powerful option in Grid, Wake Up EX. Despite this, Zago pulls out his own EX and finishes off his opponent, giving him a clean win. It should be noted throughout this match and the next one, Gen's assist greatly benefits Drakkon. While it can be argued that this assist would benefit pretty much every character in the cast, it especially helps Drakkon not only get in, but also makes his mix very dangerous. In this game, Zago goes for a 6SH round start, which is blocked. While this would usually call for a strong punish, because he called out his assist, he actually wins the interaction and sets up his own combo. He later resets into a 5SL, which makes it hard to tell if he's going to be behind or in front of the opponent due to the visual. He then goes for 2M and finishes his opponent's first character. Zago then goes for the 5S assist incoming, but as his opponent jumps, he quickly acts on this and goes for his 4S anti-air and starts his combo from there. Chana has no HP, so while he usually would go for a reset somewhere into the combo, he instead just goes for the kill, leaving the opponent with one more character. Now here he goes for a 6SS into JH, which misses as Lauren goes for a super. Normally, Drakkon would get destroyed here, but since he called out his assist to add pressure, he tags into her and makes it safe. He then swaps back into Drakkon and finishes his opponent off with the 6SS into JH setup. Zago is one of the best players in the world, so if you are looking to play Drakkon, I would definitely check him out. I will put his Twitch link in the description if you want to watch him. Lord Drakkon is a pretty interesting character. He definitely feels like an all-out attacker, but he has his own spin on it, with a unique teleport and combos that carry opponents across the screen. Drakkon is a worthwhile character to pick up on any team, only requiring a bit of support with certain assists to be usable. When given the proper support, Drakkon becomes a point beast, tearing through teams with his powerful offense and mix-up potential. In relation to the roster, Drakkon sits around the middle of it. While that might sound bad to some people, being a high-ish mid-tier character isn't bad at all. In fact, Drakkon is quite viable. He's powerful enough without being obscenely broken. Just give him the right support and you can decimate anyone in your path.
They could have been gods.
This video took a bit longer to come out due to college and the fact that I literally had to learn this character from scratch, but I hope you enjoyed regardless. A special thank you has to go to Zago, because as mentioned just moments ago, I had no idea what I was doing with Drakkon before this video, and Zago was kind enough to teach me how to play him. If you enjoyed this and want me to cover someone else, let me know. I hope you have a wonderful day.